Thank you, Bishop. It's my honor and pleasure to be up here talking about 2022 and 2023 and what we are doing with the budget. Give me just 1 second so I can open up my notes. You have heard Bishop G. Oh, we need a slide. Next slide, please. You have heard Bishop G celebrate the many ministries that we support in this diocese. These ministries require funding, and it is my pleasure and honor to review 22 and present the budget for 2023. The 2022 total diocesan budget was $3.88 million, of which $2.7 million is from parish covenants. More than 70% of the diocesan mission and ministry is funded by parishes. Next slide, please. There are many initiatives that the diocesan budget supports. A few notable ones are the Jonathan Daniels Pilgrimage, Saarioval, you've heard about these, the Commission on Truth, Justice, and Racial Reconciliation, Task Force on Becoming the Beloved Community, a staff position focused on racial healing, and we even are doing water filters for Uniontown. Next slide, please. Healthy parishes must have clergy leadership. This was a focus in 2022 and will continue into 2023. In addition, the diocese will promote congregational vitality through direct grants to congregations for community engagement and outreach projects, and through grants to Episcopal entities. Next slide, please. You see on the screen a few of the investments the diocese has made in leadership development in 2022. The Commission on Ministry added additional active shepherding groups and increased financial support for parishes, enabling the placement of recently ordained clergy. Next slide. We are so proud of our camp ministry. Bishop Pryor is actively engaging in the search for camp's new executive director, and Whitney Moore Shea has been an excellent leader in the interim. She attends staff meetings at the diocese, and the council receives monthly financial and activity reports. The leadership of Special Session is now at Camp McDowell and is a vital part of this ministry. Next slide, please. Our 2022 revival was a resounding success. Your parish support made this possible and helped make us one in the Spirit. Our pooled investment fund includes funds from 48 parishes and other ministries. This portfolio is professionally managed to balance risk with the need for long-term returns. We currently have over $25 million invested. We are grateful for the work of our trustees in managing the pooled investment fund. I am honored to serve as chair, and am joined on the committee by Mary Meadows Livingston, Philip Passafume, Fergus Toohey, and David Cicero. When you see them in your churches, please thank them for me. So now on to 2023. For 2023, we anticipate almost $4 million in total revenue, $128,000 over 2022 receipts. To date, 64 congregations have pledged approximately $2.7 million of the $2.9 needed to support the budget. Thank you to the parishes that have already turned in your covenants. Your commitment is important to us as we plan our 2023 ministry. To those of you who haven't submitted yet, any hands? Please let Rob know if there's anything we can do to assist in this endeavor. We are committed to be good stewards of your resources, and we have budgeted a small surplus of around $5,000. Next slide, please. Our budget is built around supporting the 4 priorities set forth by Bishop G. We look forward to the ministry of the new missioner for racial healing and pilgrimage, Bree Mitchell, as well as continuing our work in Saarioval, Jonathan Daniels Pilgrimage, and the establishment of a Center for Racial Healing and Pilgrimage in Montgomery. This year, we plan to fill the 4 remaining clergy vacancies and continue to spread the work inside and outside of Alabama of the word inside and outside of the good work that is going on here in encouraging clergy, Canadians, Methodists, you have it, and joining us in Alabama. In addition, the diocese is focused on congregational vitality through direct grants to congregations for community engagement and outreach projects and through grants to Episcopal ministries. That sounds kind of familiar. It's almost like he knew what we were up to. We continue to invest in leadership training for both clergy and lay ministries. A few of these are continuing financial support for parishes enabling the placement of recently ordained clergy conference and clergy training, lay leadership development through Curcio, Vocare, Happening, Kairos, and lay preaching cohorts, training for parish wardens and treasurers, AIMS training for bivocational clergy. Sounds like a lot, doesn't it? We give thanks for the support and leadership of Bishop Pryor. He has established a reputation on the national level of all things camp. And we are fortunate to have him in promoting and supporting camp here in our diocese and throughout the national church. In his role, he is leading the search for a new executive director for camp, and we give thanks for his leadership and ministry. Y'all can clap, y'all can clap. With that, is there anyone out there willing to make a motion that we adopt resolution number 1? Thank you. All right.
Is there any, excuse me,
It's been moved.
is there any discussion?
Any discussion, anyone?
Is there any discussion on the motion?
Any, Bishop G asks, is there any discussion on the motion? I see no takers. Oh.
Then let's call for the vote. All those in favor of resolution number 1, please indicate by raising your hand. All those opposed, same sign.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff, for all your faithful service as our treasurer. Now I'd like to ask Phyllis Hall to come to the podium for the remaining part of Resolution 1. Hey, Phyllis. Phyllis is our assistant treasurer for Camp McDowell, and actually a few minutes ago is our treasurer for next year, for the next 3 years.
Resolution 2.
Resolution 2, sorry.
I am so honored to be here today to talk about wonderful, wonderful Camp McDowell. The results for 2022 were wonderful, right? 31,000 people were welcomed at Camp McDowell in 2022. You, me, and other Episcopalians in this diocese are not only owners of this camp, but we really use it. Mother-daughter retreats, parish retreats, women's retreats, father-son retreats, and of course, diocesan convention are just a few of the ways we all enjoy camp. In 2022, camp introduced small parish retreat weekends at reduced rates so that all of us in our diocese has access to God's backyard. It was a hit, and we're doing it again in 2023. So if you want to know anything about this, ask Whitney or just call camp, and they're glad to share this. 40% of camp utilization is by other denominations, nonprofits, and a wide range of community groups. Now, I could go on and on about Camp McDowell, but we're here to talk about the 2022 financial results and the 2023 budget. So slide 1. Total revenue in 2022 was close to $4.2 million. You see the breakdown by department on screen. Now the screen numbers are correct. The numbers on your resolution that you have in your packages were preliminary. Conference center revenue is one thing I want to point out because that includes all of the bed and meal revenue. The other department revenues are fees charged and grants and donations specific to that department. So it does not include the bed and meals because all of that's in the conference center. To all of you who were guests of Camp McDowell this year, to the parishes and those of you who donated, thank you. You made a huge difference in the life and work of Camp McDowell, the services provided, and the maintenance of God's backyard. The surplus generated is now noted on the screen. There we go. The screen has been updated to reflect the final numbers of $347,000, which is $25,000, by the way. That was more than what was in your prepackage. As you can see, each one of the departments generated a surplus. I'm going to point out the Conference Center because its surplus of $131,000 includes a one-time unrestricted gift of $100,000 and CARES Act employee retention credit receipts of $86,000. Net of those one-time items, Camp McDowell would still have generated a surplus of $161,000, 3.6% of its revenue. Slide 3. So camp has recommended that the surplus be allocated as follows: $100,000 for cash flow support of operations during the financial lulls experienced every first quarter of the year. $185,000 set aside for maintenance reserves. Just so you know, post-COVID, camp formed a building committee to identify and advise on improvements to camp's grounds and facilities. There is much to be done to maintain, improve, and renovate, and we're grateful for their guidance on how best to utilize this amount. The remaining part of the reserve will be an operating reserve. So again, thank you for your support. The Department of Camp McDowell and camp leadership will be good stewards of these funds and will use them to maintain and improve camp's facilities and services. Now, for 2023, we expect camp to be even more wonderful. Slide 4 shows you that the total income budgeted is almost $4.5 million. So we've budgeted an increased income of about $313,000 more than we actually received in 2022. There are two 2023 initiatives that I would like to highlight. First of all, as I said, we will continue to offer small parish retreat weekends at reduced rates. Also, for 2023, special session campers will be scholarshiped and will attend special session at no cost to the camper. So you can see on slide 5, this slide shows how expenses are associated with our projected revenue. And then on slide 6, you'll see that we have budgeted a surplus of $65,469, which is 1.5% of revenue for 2023. Now, I want to close by talking about one of the things that makes camp so wonderful, and that is Whitney and her terrific staff. So thank you, Whitney. Thank you, staff. Bishop, I request that this convention approve resolution number 2, the 2023 budget for Camp McDowell.
So moved. Is there any, I don't think we need a second since it's coming from them, from the Department of Finance. So is there any discussion? Any questions for Phyllis? You ready for a vote? All those in favor say aye. Oh, sorry, raise your hand. All those in favor, raise your hand. All those opposed, same sign. Phyllis, thank you once again for your service, and I'm really glad you're going to be our treasurer for the next 3 years.